What's up? How's it going? All right, so I had a chance to go to my first like synthesizer music tech expo. There was one in Brooklyn. It was like a synth and pedal expo. I knew about it probably for at least a year or two prior to actually going this past Sunday, but I went for the first time. My buddy mentioned it to me a while ago, and so I had it on my radar, and then two other people who I have sort of online connections with who I've never met in person were both going there as well. Turns out that out of those three people, I was only able to meet up with actually one of them, but that was okay. But yeah, I ended up going, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about it. So this past weekend was a very busy one. My wife was out of town for the weekend, so I had the kids, and my mom's birthday was on Friday, and I had a Halloween party to go to on Friday, and Saturday went to like this breast cancer walk with my mom, and then Sunday was the expo. So it was like a long weekend, and I kind of waited until pretty much Saturday night or Sunday morning to kind of like make the declaration, strong word, but to know that I was gonna go. Like I had coverage kind of set up for the kids for Sunday regardless. They went to my parents' house, and I just wanted to see how I was gonna feel, you know, waking up early, getting the kids ready, driving out to Brooklyn, which is where it is, which was about an hour drive. But I'm so glad that I did. I think that, let's see, so I've been to several like events like this, trade show / you know, career fair type things like this, where you go there, there's a lot going on, and you have to kind of, you know, walk around and network and try different things out and go to different booths and stuff. But this, like I mentioned, is the first one that's like in this space of something that I'm super interested and passionate about. And it turns out that like right now, both pedals, even though I didn't spend too long kind of exploring that, but I'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but certainly more so synthesizers in the studio has been a big thing that I've been like very, very curious about lately, whether it be a synthesizer with keys on it, right? Or if it's one that's like a tabletop, right? That I can connect to something like what's underneath the Yamaha Mo DX M6 that's over there. Also, who is this that's calling me back? Give me 1 second. Kevin speaking.
This is a message from Central Jersey Internal Message.
I gotta call them back. But okay, so I went and drove out there, and it was a lot of fun. In my mind, I was thinking like, okay, as a YouTuber, as a content creator, someone who's been doing this for about 5-6 years now, it's gonna be nice to be able to make some in-person connections with some of the you know, different companies that are there, introduce myself and check out their gear, and I think it would stand out in a different way than just sending the cold emails, which sometimes do work as well. Some of the companies that were there, I've already sort of had some conversations with in the past, so to be able to kind of re-spark the ideas of working together with certain things was very exciting for me. Out of everything that I saw, there were a few things that I want to highlight. So let's see, as soon as you go up, like 1010 Music sells this thing called the Bento box, and they have these Nano boxes as well, these small like portable synthesizers. In my mind, they are going to be super interesting to connect to a digital piano like the Donner that I have back here, to be able to just like use the key bed but get like these different sounds. I don't know. I was even thinking that something like this, like I might be able to connect multiple of them through like a MIDI host box or something. I think I have to do more research on that, but I think that if I were to connect my Donner to like this MIDI host box and then have the have MIDI going out to all, or out to all of those devices that I just mentioned, that would be kind of cool, because then you have like all different types of, you know, musical capabilities that you could produce, or you can create different sounds and stuff. Anyway, I had a great time meeting Steve there, my dad's name, so I remember that, and just checking out some of the gear a little bit. He knew who I was as well through, you know, from reaching out to him, so that was cool to put that connection there. I also really enjoyed checking out the Roland TR-1000 immensely, so much so that it's $2,600, $2,700, something like that, but I'm going to definitely get that in the studio at some point in the near future through my relationship with Zounds. No rush to do so, of course. I'm going to spend the next up to 90 days doing content and making different videos and sound explorations and all that kind of stuff, performances with the Yamaha Mo DX M6 back there before I have to send that back. I don't want to have multiple loaners out at a time. I think that's unless if I need to, unless if there's a real need to or whatever. But yeah, the rhythm machine was really fun to use. It was immediate, it was inspiring, and yeah, so I see why there's so much excitement about that now. So that was really cool. Groove Synthesis, I'm just going off the top here. Groove Synthesis has this blue third wave synthesizer that was very, very, very inspiring to use. Not only because like the sound presets that were on there were very inspiring to play. The key bed is really nice to play on as well, but it has like some other features that I think are really special for a synthesizer, like sort of what I would call like a built-in 4-part pattern sequencer, something like that, that I don't know if a lot of other ones have. Maybe they do, I'm not sure. But that was really cool to check that out, and I kind of hit it off, I think, with the one of the co-founders that was there. And so he and I are kind of talking about some things. They also just recently came out with an 8M module that is like half the price of the third wave that came out several years ago. And that module, similar to what I mentioned about 1010 Music, that module is something that I can see myself positioning this Donner keyboard as like what I play on, but the modules are what are generating the sounds, right? It takes up a lot less space, first of all, but then also something about that is really, really interesting, right? You're just going through different sounds on there. Yeah, something about it is really interesting. And then I think with this particular piano, there's a way to like, it has like a cover, and there's a way to take out a couple screws and flip the cover backwards so that right behind the piano there's like this deep of just like a board. And I'm like, oh man. So laptops or sound modules and stuff like that can kind of sit there, so you still have access to all that. So I'm gonna explore that a bit more too, but more to come with that for sure. Then there was Dreadbox. They made this thing called the Artemis, which is another sound synth module or desktop synthesizer. And sounds on that thing were incredible as well. They had some MIDI controllers connected to it. I like the look of that, and I like the sound of that, and I also like how there weren't an enormous amount of knobs and sliders on it to kind of morph the sounds. As a preset kind of guy myself, who at some point maybe I do get into some sound design stuff where I'm making my own sort of sounds. Maybe I'll never say never. That hasn't been me up to this point, but possibly in the near future. That was really cool to check out as well. I think there's one or two other things I want to mention. I'm drawing a little bit of a blank. That's right, the Arturia. I had a chance to check out the what is it called? Arturia Astrolab, the 61 key. Really like the keyboard action on there. It feels more akin to what I'm used to with 88 keys, like less of a synth action, which I really like. But I think the 88 key of that would be something that is just incredible, just because you have so much sound capabilities. I love like the buttons for the different sound banks on there, like piano and keyboard, etc., etc. Let's make sure we're still recording. One sec. We are. All right, so that was cool. And then they also, oh, there's two more things. Yeah. Sequential. So the Forum and the Prophet 6, I think they had on display. I think those were the two. Those were really so much fun to use as well. Like my first time trying out hands-on with a sequential, synthesizer. I've been researching it a bit more, and I think the Take 5 is something that's a little bit more my speed, kind of in the middle of what I just mentioned, and 5-note polyphony, which is really cool. And I've watched a ton of videos on that. And then last but not least, like having a chance to like try out a Rhodes piano for the first time was just so much fun. Those things are crazy expensive, so I don't know if ever that becomes something that comes in the studio. Maybe it does, who knows. But the Rhodes piano was really cool because it's not so much of a preset machine. It's kind of like you just make your changes, and it has these tines on the back. Don't let me I don't know too much about it, but it's mechanical and it's digital. I believe, right? There's lights on it, so certainly it's digital as well. And you just, you don't call up presets on there, from my understanding. You just play and then make your small changes, and it was just a lot of fun to play. I just sat there and played for like 30 minutes just playing the keys on that. So overall, it was a great time. Someone that I hit me up on Instagram asked if I was planning on going to NAMM, and I know that NAMM and Superbooth are in my future at some point in the near future. Past several years, having a 1 and a 3-year-old, it's been difficult, right, to be able to make any of those types of trips. And quite frankly, up until going to this particular expo, I hadn't really thought about the importance of going to these types of shows other than just trying out and checking out new gear. But now, and we'll see how some of these relationships kind of pan out. Like I sent some emails out and, kind of like seeing what are the next steps to kind of work together. But if going to these shows, being myself, talking a little bit about what I do, showing what I can do, results in a much higher chance to work together with these companies, then it makes a lot of sense, right? To make this investment to go out to a show like NAMM where there's going to be, a whole lot more going on. So I wore my YouTube shirt, the last thing. That was kind of cool. I had a Teenage Engineering hoodie on at first, and then I was like, you know what, let me put my YouTube shirt on just so people see that. I didn't meet any other content creators there. Maybe they were, but I didn't meet anyone else. But overall, it was a great time. I enjoyed myself, learned a lot, made some great connections, and hopefully in the near future you'll start seeing some of the gear that I've through the companies that I've connected with in the studio, so that I can kind of talk a little bit further about them. And I look forward to that. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one of these. Peace.